Well, hello. And today I'm just going to talk a little bit about my experience buying a vehicle directly through Tesla. This whole process started a while ago, a long time ago, pretty much a year ago. The Model X came out in 2016. Prices are crazy. I really wanted to get a P, performance series. So I ended up looking at the P90D, but this vehicle, brand new, was $140,000, not including Ludicrous. Ludicrous mode was an upgrade. Now I believe Ludicrous was about $5,000. I'm not sure, but so you're looking at about $145,000 car. I'm not about to spend $145,000 on a car. Cars aren't investments. I love cars. I'm definitely, my whole life, I've been through so many different cars. I enjoy them. I've raced them. I've modified them. I've worked on them. I've done everything. That's kind of why this channel started. But that being said, obviously, if I was going to get into a Tesla, into a Model X, I wanted to do everything that I could to get a performance version. One of the reasons is they hold their value more. When you go to sell it, it's easier to sell, and that's been with a lot of my cars. I had a Cobra, a 2003 Mustang Cobra, a Terminator, and I bought it brand new from the dealer in 2003, and I sold it around 2011, I believe. And the car sold in 4 days. I had a bunch of different people, a bunch of different offers, but the car sold in 4 days. It had 19,000 miles, and it was pristine and garage capped. Same thing with my Escalade that I just sold. It was pristine, it was garage capped, low mileage. It was 11 years old, I think, and it had 116,000 miles. So I decided to buy the Tesla, and it was just a matter of, obviously, first of all, selling my truck, selling the Escalade. And I sold the Escalade. I had a couple that came down from Pennsylvania, a really nice couple. I think through eBay. I had a listing in eBay and Cars.com, Auto Trader, Craigslist. It took me about 2 weeks, I think, to sell it. But and I went to CarMax, and I went to the dealership that I bought the car from. So that was that was my backup plan, because I was already looking at looking online through Tesla. But this couple came through literally, I think, a couple days after I had found and put a deposit on the Model X. So I've been looking online, eBay, Auto Tempest, all the different car sites for a P90D, because that's something that was going to be in my price range. And they are ranging anywhere from $65,000 to like $80,000, depending on mileage, options, etc. So I ended up finding several on Tesla's site, but they go fast. They're only on there for a day or two, and people scoop them up. That's how fast these things are selling, or at least that's the way it looks on their Tesla website. But I also use the EV-CPO website. I'll put a link. And that one helps you search, but a lot of times, by the time that you find the vehicle, a lot of times it's gone. So one of the things that I ended up doing was I ended up going through at the dealership, at the Tesla store at the mall. I ended up getting in contact. I did a test drive there of a P100D, and absolutely blew me away. But I kept in contact with that sales rep. So this person got me in contact with a pre-owned car salesperson that's based out of Virginia, and really I dealt with him from then on. I emailed him, told him exactly what I wanted. I wanted a P90D first off. I wanted 7 seats, because a lot of them, for some reason, the performance ones only have 6 seats, but I need 7 seats. I have 3 kids, my wife, and then my 2 in-laws live with me, so we need 7 seats. So really, and Ludicrous was definitely, if I was going to spend that type of money, it would have to be a Ludicrous car. And one of the other things that I was asking that I really liked, I love the white interior. There's just something that sets it off. That's just something that's that's just different from any car out there, you know. And I like the carbon fiber, wood, carbon fiber, and carbon fiber is like a $2,500 option. But autopilot, obviously, I think all the 2016s come with autopilot. And really, when I sent the email, those were the 3 top things. I think that's what makes it easier, is just to let the person know exactly what your top choices are. Exterior color didn't matter to me because I'll probably end up wrapping the car. I love black when it's clean, but you know, my Porsche is black. I had my first car ever was a black Mustang GT, so I know about dealing with black cars. I love them. I love the way they look when they're clean, but they're a lot of work. So when I found the car, I just kept asking questions. I asked for more pictures. The car looked good. It had the red calipers. It had the upgraded 22-inch wheels, which are, I don't know how many, a several $1,000 option. And this car comes up, and right away, I hadn't even sold my Escalade, but I already got my quotes from CarMax. I had gotten my quotes from the dealership, the Cadillac dealership that I bought my car from. So I had 2 different quotes. CarMax was the cheapest. You know, they're the ones that were offering me the least amount of money. You know, I think it was a couple $1,000s more at the dealership. And but I ended up, I knew this is what I wanted. And I found something that had the white interior, 7 seats, P90D. The mileage was a little higher than I wanted. I think it was around 45,000 miles. But you get a 4-year, 50,000 mile bumper to bumper warranty. And then the powertrain warranty is up until, I think it's an 8-year, I think 2024, 2025 is when the powertrain, which is the battery and the motors, are covered. So, I mean, you have bumper to bumper on everything, and the brakes are supposed to last like 200,000 miles. And the tires, they're new tires that were put on the car because they're not the original equipment as far as I know. These are the Continental Super Sport, or DWS or something like that. That's exactly the tire that I have on the Porsche 911. So I know how they handle. I know how they handle in the snow, and I know what they cost. They're expensive tires. I mean, on my Porsche, they're like $350 for the rear wheels each. So they're not cheap tires. They're good tires, you know. So I saw that in the pictures, and everything looked fine. You know, everything looked great. So I ended up putting a deposit in. So that's the first step. You put a deposit down, $2,500. It reserves the car for you. And then from there, it just starts the process. You know, it creates an order number in their system. When you go to Tesla.com and you sign up, all of a sudden you get an order number, and it starts asking for documentation. So you send in your ID, a copy of your ID, a copy of your insurance, and then eventually you tell them how you're going to finance it. If you're going to try to do it through them, or if you're going to self-finance, which is what I did. I ended up going through my credit union. And definitely I would recommend highly going through your credit union first. There's so many credit unions out there. The Porsche that I have is financed through NASA Federal Credit Union. And I think they gave me like a 3.9% interest rate back when, you know, several years ago. And I think they start at like a 3 something also I ended up going with State Employees Credit Union here in Maryland. But NASA Federal Credit Union is nationwide, so you can, you know, all you have to do is make a donation or something to their organization, and you can become a member of their credit union. So anyways, you know, before I even sold the car, the Escalade, I said, this is what I want, I'll figure it out later. I knew I could get a trade-in, you know, money for, you know, from just trading it in at CarMax. So that was going to be my that was my backup, you know, if I wasn't able to sell the car before then. So I ended up putting the deposit down, starting the process, the paperwork, and I went to my bank. Well, once you've submitted your documentation, then you can request an order agreement. And the order agreement will tell you pricing, fees. There's really no hidden fees with Tesla, and I definitely like that. The process online was very smooth. The fees were $197 for registration, which was for the tags. I'm transferring tags, so I don't understand why I got charged the same amount as if they issued me new tags. But they did do temporary tags. So the taxes, you know, taxes were like $5,000. The price of the car was $71,300. That was the price of a P90D. Obviously with the warranties, all the different options that I was looking for and more. It has Sub-Zero, so it has heated seats in the rear and in the front. It has air-conditioned, cooled seats in the front, at least. I'm not sure about the rear. It has just everything. Autopilot. Everything's there. So that was the price plus the taxes. After I sent the documentation in, they ended up sending me an order agreement, and that's what I took to my bank. So my bank, I took the order agreement, filled out their credit application, and I did it in the branch. So I actually went there. It was pretty quick. They just required a couple more things. I think they asked for me for some pay stubs, but no taxes or anything, just my pay stubs. And they looked at my credit. My credit was fine, and obviously that's going to determine your interest rate. So I got the loan. And what they do is they issue you, if you're going to put, like in my case, like $15,000 down from the sale of the truck, you put that down, so they deduct that from the amount of the cost of the car. So if the car cost, let's say it was $75,000, including the taxes, but you have to remember, I already paid $2,500 as a credit card, on a credit card, ahead of time, just to reserve it. So that gets deducted from that $75,000. Then you deduct whatever money you put down, and then they cut you a check for the difference. So what I did is, the truck, the Escalade, when I sold it, the buyers paid cash. They came down, they drove like 2 hours from Pennsylvania, and they paid me cash for the truck. So that cash, I actually just went to the same credit union, and I transferred it into I converted it into a cashier's check. I didn't want to fly to Chicago carrying $15,000 or whatever in cash. So just for safety reasons, I left one of the stubs for the cashier's checks here at home, and I took the cashier's checks with me. So I took the $15,000 or whatever it was that I was putting down, and then a check for the difference, which is what my bank gave me a loan for. So when I go to Tesla, everything's through email. Everything's through email, and I'm going back and forth, and they were really, Rainey was the name of the representative that I was originally working with that was in Virginia, and he was very responsive to the emails. I have to give him a lot of credit. I mean, I had a lot of questions, like the car it wasn't listed as a ludicrous model on the Tesla website, but when I looked at the pictures, you could see it on the dashboard. When it's a ludicrous model, it has a little line underneath the P90D. This one didn't have it on the badge on the rear of the car, but when I looked at the pictures, it had it on the dashboard. So I emailed them and I said, hey, is this a ludicrous car? Because it's not listed as a ludicrous. And when you're looking at the Tesla site, it'll say 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds. That's a P90D. But whenever you find one that is a ludicrous model, it'll say 3.0 seconds, or even less if it's one of the newer models, like a P100, it'll say 2.8 seconds. So they cleared that up. They clarified that it was a ludicrous car. So that's when I ended up pulling the trigger on it. But the thing was, the rep that they had was, definitely on top of things, and answering me back. And then eventually, once we started getting into the actual sale, there was another person by the name of David that was in California that I was dealing with, and that was like the actual purchase of the vehicle. But it was also always CCing both, so I was always talking to David and Ray, everything. It was the three of us. That went absolutely smoothly. I couldn't be happier with that. I mean, they answered my questions pretty quick, and I was happy up until that point. Now we get to me flying to Chicago. They originally told me the car was going to be ready on a Friday. I couldn't fly out there on Friday. I had some other commitments, some prior commitments, so I couldn't fly there out on Friday. But I rescheduled for Monday. So the car was supposed to be ready on Friday, and I rescheduled to pick it up on Monday. Now, I bought my flights and everything. You know, like I said, it was like $60 for a flight out there, which is a pretty good deal. I end up flying to Chicago. I went sightseeing because we got there like at 7 in the morning. So we did a lot of sightseeing. We went to Willis Tower, we went to Millennium Park, we saw Cloud Gate, and you know, we had some food there, and we walked around, you know, with all the tall buildings, and you know, it was a nice time. We took an Uber, you know, I think it was Westcott, was the name of the place in Illinois where it was. It wasn't in the city, it was kind of in the suburbs. So we go out there, and you know, it's probably a 30-minute Uber ride. And we get there about 10 minutes till 12. So the car's supposed to be ready at 12. So I go in, they're busy. There's not many sales reps. It seemed like there was only 2 or 3 people there. And so it took a little while for me to be seen, or for them to know. They acknowledged that I was there, but they were busy. And so finally around 12:10, 12:15, I go up to, you know, one of the guys, and he said, Mr. Lazo, you know, he knew my name, and he said, you know, the guy comes up, says, you know, are you Mr. Lazo? I said, yeah. And he said, okay, I'm looking at your paperwork. Your car's not ready yet. We weren't, you know, we don't know what happened, but like it wasn't prepped. And my guys are out to lunch, so they can't, you know, they have to go over it first, and then they have to clean it up. So that kind of didn't sit right with me. I mean, first of all, the car hasn't even been looked over, you know, to see that everything is in place, that everything's right on it. At least that's what I figured. And the car wasn't clean, so I didn't get a chance to see the car. They told me it'll probably be ready around 3 o'clock. So I said, but he said, you know what? I apologize. You know, he told me his words. We dropped the ball. But we're gonna give you a rental. We're gonna give you a Model X as a rental, and you can go have some lunch or something. And you know, he recommended some places around, and that was it. You know, from there I had to go. You know, we went out. We went to Target. We went out to get something to eat, and you know, we ran some errands, and you know, we just had to wait to get back. All right, so they've given me this rental car. It's a Model X. I think it's a 2019. You know, I start playing with the autopilot and everything, and I'm getting excited because, you know, obviously that's what I'm there for. I'm there to pick up a Model X, you know, so it was fun to kind of play around with this Model X while we were there. The car was great, you know, we had a nice time just going around, getting some lunch. The only problem was the original plan for us was to take the car, leave around 1 o'clock maybe, like the soonest after, you know, picking up the car at noon, hopefully be out the door by 1, and then drive. You know, the travel time with the stops and driving was about 7 hours. So all of a sudden, like, our plan was to go to Cleveland, Ohio from Chicago, and go have dinner, maybe go do some sightseeing at night, and enjoy the town, you know, at night. And obviously we didn't get on the road because the car, second of all, the car wasn't even charged. You know, they totally weren't, you know, ready for me. So the car wasn't charged. They're sitting there charging the car. The salesman is cleaning my car. Well, I'm continuing the story today. Different clothes. Yesterday I was filming this and it got kind of dark. Didn't like the quality of the video, so I'm going to continue today. So the vehicle wasn't ready. We go back at 3, and I pull up to the dealership, and I see the car for the first time. It's outside. It's charging, and I noticed the sales rep, the person who was handling the paperwork and all that. He was out there cleaning the car. I guess he was in the trunk. I guess he had some spray, and you know. So the car had been washed, and from the outside it didn't look too bad. It definitely needed a little bit more work, but it just amazed me that it was the sales rep was out there, you know, cleaning the car. I just never seen that. I mean, to me it just looks like they don't have enough people there, or you know, don't know what's going on. But anyways, I go up, you know, I check the car out, you know, everything's looking fine, I guess, from the outside. And there's a couple of fitment issues that I let them know. and they said they could probably, you know, take care of it under warranty. I mean, these cars are known for that, so it's not a big, you know, really big deal. But the inside, definitely, you know, the rear, there were some dog hairs back there. There was crumbs in between the seats. Eventually, you know, I found some Cheerios. I found a fork, so that was very unexpected. So they're not really conditioning these cars, you know. They're just grabbing them, you know, vacuuming them quickly and just putting them out. And I understand. I mean, they're selling quickly. I mean, if anybody's looking online, these cars are selling very quickly. I mean, you look at a car, the next day it's gone, you know, when you're looking through the Tesla website. So they go pretty quickly. So I go in, and this is 3 o'clock. It was around, you know, they told me finally 3:15 it was going to be ready, and that's when the guy finally came out. You know, we worked on the paperwork. I, you know, gave them my check. There was a slight difference because they were charging me for, it was $197 for the registration fee, even though I was transferring plates over. And so I just paid that on my Tesla app. You know, I made that payment. But you know, they put a temporary tag in my rear windshield. It's just a piece of paper with a plate number and an expiration date. And from there, I mean, the car is what it is, you know. It was cleaned like anybody else would. It wasn't detailed. It wasn't anywhere near close to my standards. And I've done some cleaning to it. I still got to go through it with a vacuum. The other thing that kind of blew my mind is there was no floor mats. Floor mats are expensive, so I guess maybe that's why they're not in here. Somebody probably grabbed them, or the owner maybe bought a new Model S. You know, I'm really thinking that this was a lease. It looks like it was probably leased for 3 years, and you know, was returned to Tesla, and that's why also they were able to get out of this free supercharging. Because normally, if you buy a used car, if it was bought with free supercharging, it transfers over to the new owner. But if it goes through Tesla, Tesla can deactivate that free supercharging. So when you buy it, it won't say free supercharging. So that's one thing that's interesting that Tesla's doing, is that if you buy a car secondhand directly from the owner and he had free supercharging, it'll transfer over to you. But if you buy it from Tesla, they will deactivate the free supercharging. It's not a big deal. There's free places for me to charge. It's not expensive, even if I'm charging at home. So it's not a big deal for me. But just be aware that they will deactivate the free supercharging. And I took the car. You know, he gave me the keys. You know, he explained a little bit how to use it. I already, you know, had been playing with it for a while. So I wanted to get on the road. Another thing that was going on was the battery wasn't fully charged. Now, they don't have a supercharger there at the Tesla dealership. They have the regular Tesla charging stations. Now, you know, I'm sitting there waiting, and it still had another like 30 or 40 minutes to get a full charge, you know, to 200 and around 230, because, you know, you set it at 90%. The car can charge up to 250. But the car wasn't even charged, so, you know, I was expecting, they knew I was coming. I was expecting the car washed, ready to go, fully charged, and it wasn't. Now, I had a trip to Chicago, to Cleveland right after that, and I was hoping to leave at 1, and obviously that got pushed to around 5, so I didn't get to Cleveland, Ohio till almost 2 in the morning. So that was pretty annoying, the fact that I missed the whole night. You know, we couldn't go out to dinner. We got some cold sandwiches in the hotel lobby. You know, we stayed at the Hilton there, right by the water near the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And so that was, you know, pretty much my experience with Tesla. Everything went smoothly, other than the actual delivery of the vehicle. This is more just my experience with Tesla. They have a lot to work on as far as, you know, customer service and customer satisfaction when it comes to the actual dealership. I don't know, maybe it's just that dealership. I guess if you have a Tesla out there and you had a much better, smoother experience, then please comment, you know, let me know. But this was just the particular dealership in Illinois, and that's the experience I had. So anyways, thank you all for subscribing. Like I said, I've hit 1,000 subscribers, and it's been a lot of fun. And I just want to thank you all. If you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and subscribe. Hit the like button, and hit the notification bell. And any comments that you have, please let me know. Thank you.